The cold air, and that's why it's readily turning to snow just around the Midwest into that northeastern corner. Temperatures are recovering with those southerly winds, around 6 Celsius there for New York, creeping into double figures for DC. But as you can see for eastern Canada, I think you are looking more in the way of snow to come here. Some snow too, a possibility over the mountain states. Wet and windy weather will creep its way into the Pacific Northwest, into BC as we go through Friday into Saturday. Notice we're warming up there for LA, temperatures getting up to around 23 Celsius. Should stay largely dry here over the next couple of days. Largely dry too across the islands of the Caribbean. I think for the Leeward Islands, you could see some sharp showers, some wet weather there too into Panama, maybe Nicaragua, Costa Rica also seeing a little bit of damp weather over the next couple of days. We come into Europe and here the damp weather is really concentrated across central parts of the Mediterranean. It's been very wet, very windy here recently. That will continue to be the case, but drier and brighter further north.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
2 generations face the past in order to understand the present. A young man embarks on a journey with his father in search of answers. Great changes in China have brought their traditional family way of life to a crisis point. Faces of China, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Hello again, you're with Al Jazeera. Our top stories this hour. Forces loyal to the Libyan leader, Muammar Gaddafi, have launched fresh airstrikes on the eastern town of Brega, but rebels say that they're pushing government supporters back. The International Criminal Court says that it'll investigate the Libyan leader and some of his sons and his inner circle for possible crimes against humanity. And Egypt has a new prime minister after the man appointed by former President Hosni Mubarak resigned. Essam Sharaf has been selected by the country's military rulers to form a new cabinet and lead the government back to civilian rule. Tension continues to escalate in Côte d'Ivoire. Security forces have shot dead at least 6 women in Abidjan during a protest in support of the opposition leader Alassane Ouattara. Meanwhile, thousands of people have been forced to flee the suburb of Abobo as forces loyal to incumbent President Laurent Gbagbo also take to the streets. Al Jazeera's Imran Khan reports.
Finally a chance to smile and to sing for some. This is St. Ambroise Church, Abidjan. But instead of spiritual healing, it's medical healing in this makeshift refugee camp. Thousands have fled the fighting between supporters of the man the West recognises as Côte d'Ivoire's leader, Alassane Ouattara, and Laurent Gbagbo, who is clinging to power despite international condemnation. They arrive here dishevelled, tired and in desperate need of care.
We have 2 types of people, those who only stay for a day and those that stay longer. We try and help them move to safer places.
And with homelessness comes the threat of disease. The International Red Cross fears that the longer this goes on, the higher the chance of disease spreading.
The most urgent needs that we are talking about are linked to health. The need for medicines is also linked to hygiene, which is also linked to the need for shelter.
Most of the fighting, which some fear could spread to civil war, has been in the Ouattara stronghold of Abobo. The sound of constant gunfire and fighting is now a distant memory for the ones that have made it here. For these men and women of God, helping the few that they can is all they can do.
We tell them they can always use this area for their children. We can't abandon them. That's why we come here, so we can protect them and their children.
The refugees here escaped with only what they could carry, and they've got no idea when they can go back or what they will go back to. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera.
In Yemen, a senior government official has said that President Ali Abdullah Saleh is expected to respond positively to an opposition roadmap outlining steps for him to relinquish power. The 5-point plan was proposed by some opposition parties, but as Al Jazeera's Hashim Al-Halbara reports, other groups in the country say that they're done with talking.
The roadmap is ready, but where will it lead? After spelling out their vision for a future without President Saleh, Yemen's main opposition parties say there's little point in any further talks with the nation's veteran leader.
People on the street should have the final say on the political change in this country, but there needs to be an option that avoids anarchy. That's the role of the political parties, but we shouldn't be disconnected from the people.
The president, though, remains defiant. He insists that if he leaves office early, a power struggle will be unavoidable.
Because this country have got a lot of things which are different from any other scenario. We have got Southerners who have been asking for secession. We've got the Houthis who are asking for different ideas and views, perhaps a sort of local government with full power. You have got Al-Qaeda. So we have got to have a clear, perspective of what change we're aiming at.
And that clarity isn't easy to achieve.
The Yemeni Socialist Party has its constituency mostly in the south, and the south is under tremendous repressive pressure. So that is not conducive to YSP participating in dialogue. But the presence of Salafi extremists in the dialogue, I think, has alarmed another party, Al-Haq party, and it's causing additional complications in the dialogue.
In the capital, anti-government protesters celebrated an army officer who joined their demonstration, and they say their fight will go on regardless of the political confusion. Back to square one. The protesters and the opposition are planning mass rallies on Friday to put more pressure on President Saleh to step aside. They want to bid him farewell, and that, they say, can't wait for another 2 years. Hashim Al-Barra, AlJazeera, Sana'a.
In northwestern Iraq, at least 9 people have been killed by a suicide bomber. Police say that the bomber was targeting Iraqi soldiers collecting their paychecks at a bank in the town of Haditha. At least 9 people have been killed in a suicide attack at a police station in northwestern Pakistan. Officials say that a lorry carrying explosives rammed into a security checkpoint in the town of Hangu. Around 30 other people were wounded. Meanwhile, a court in Lahore has ruled that a CIA contractor accused of murder will not enjoy diplomatic immunity. Raymond Davis claims that he acted in self-defense when he shot at the 2 Pakistani men. His detention has strained relations between the US and Pakistan. Now to Argentina, where at least 7 children from an indigenous community have died in recent months. Doctors say that they're dying due to malnutrition and dehydration. And now, the Argentine government has launched an emergency plan to prevent even more children from dying. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports from the northern town of Salta.
A healthcare emergency. These children belong to the Wichi indigenous community, and they're under serious risk.
Children are undernourished or their weight is very low. What they give us is a bag of food. It's obviously not enough for the children living here.
Throughout South America, indigenous communities are often amongst the poorest.